Hey guys, on to the next video. So the topic of this video is how I lost 1.8 million in just a week. So I came from a very organic line of growth overall, and my account stepped up very gradually over time. I did obviously have some calamities here and there, which everybody does, but I always got myself back on my feet and proceeded to push in order to be more and learn from my losses and gradually shape my character around that. So the story goes, and again, you can take some key pointers from this because it happens to many of us, and I'm glad it happened when it did, because if looking in hindsight, if that actually didn't happen and that didn't fall through for me, then I wouldn't be able to manage what I manage now. So it's hard for us at times when we go through failures, whether it be in Forex or business or life or relationships, whatever it may be, to actually have the foresight in our minds to understand that new doors will always open, number one. You have to get through this particular lesson in order to grow internally, to have more and be more. And we're not really taught this, especially at schools and the education system and all of that kind of stuff. We have to look into a third-party arena in order to get this information, and it takes us a while to metabolize it, number one, understand it, and also actually try to apply it to our mindsets and our life, because the main component of when we grow up past 20 and we've gone through that system is to actually unlearn 90% of the stuff that's been planted into our minds. And we can't really absorb new pieces of information because the way our mind's been programmed from that period is so large and long-winded that it's difficult for us to adjust to new pieces of information or even comprehend or understand how it can apply to one life experience or a trading experience. So now when I was in the markets at first, social media, trading information and also mentality and mindset information wasn't as freely available as it is right now in 2019. So age of information is here, and there's more information being widespread, but it can also act as it can also be a deficit. If we absorb too much information and read too many books and go to so many different sources for learning in market-wise, that the information overload, our minds can't digest it and metabolize what the hell is going on, and then we're trying to take so many different forms into ourselves that we just become more confused than as we were. So for me on my journey, I started to realize that the schooling system, number one, and the education system, whatever it may be, and just the general mentality of society, I just always had a feeling inside me that, it's wrong. It's not so much wrong, but something doesn't click with me so much, and I was always striving for more. So I started to read certain books. I'm sure you guys have been there, Law of Attraction, blah 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 blah, and it started to open my mind up a little bit. A lot of those books out there are very watered down and diluted as to what the real case is, but it serves you as a stepping stone to move on to better things and continue your transit into knowledge and applying knowledge, and see what actually resonates with you. Find what resonates with you, practice it, and see how you can grow out of that 20-year-old program stage, and then start to actually take responsibility for your own thoughts, your beliefs, your actions and judgments. And you always have to be responsible for the bad things you have got yourself into, the losses, etc. So on my personal journey with what I've just said there, knowing that there's more than what meets the eye, and there's more knowledge to actually absorb as to who I am as a person, what's really going on here in this reality. As I was going through and reprogramming my mind, it took me years and years and years, it actually gave me the strength to succeed and have the power of knowing through the turbulent and the bad times in which the Forex market presented to me. So if I didn't know that information and know my and any human's potential on the whole, and what we're actually capable of if we really apply ourselves and get rid of the garbage, then I probably would have failed and flopped and gave it in and wouldn't have pushed forward to where I am now. And I'm still pushing forward. One major counterpart which I can add on to that cluster of information is the main point of suffering for me was that I was staying stagnant in a 9-to-5 routine or a 9-to-5 job. Looking around me, I was going from job to job. I held one down for quite some time, but again, I was looking around where I was working. I was like, I can't really be 30, 40 years old, still doing the same thing. It just didn't sit well with me. I can't be on this wage, £1,500, £2,000 a month, and actually being happy. I knew there was a lot more out there. So for some of us, I do believe that it's like an internal gift, and we're internally driven because we can have the foresight to see and step above the majority. I'm talking 85-90% of people who can't see that. They're actually comfortable with doing what they do and they don't actually believe in themselves to be more. That's great, whatever. We actually need those people in the ladder, okay, because it's like a game of elevation in this life. So knowing that, I got into trading, and that was, if I was to stop trading or if I didn't make trading work for me, then holy shit, I am actually going to be down and depressed in that arena. I can't go back there. So only going back there and quitting trading was failure for me. So again, all of these different aspects in which I was probably 3 years. It was like I had my finger in the plug socket of a wall, and the electricity of knowledge was coming through me every single day. I cut off old friends, cut off old habits, whatever it may be, and I was very, very strict on elevating myself overall, and just information. I made it a hobby, and I was kind of getting fulfillment from the information that I was finding. At first, you are going to find some of the information and how society works quite dismantling to your mind, and also very, very demotivating, because you've more or less been lied to on so many different topics throughout your entire life. But you get over it overall, and you feel empowered by what's to come, and you can use that information to actually push through with trading. So you guys already know that I share a lot of books and stuff that I do aside from trading to actually find out more about yourself and strengthen your mind, because again, it fits into this psychology sector right here. So back to the topic, the original topic of how I lost $1.8 million in 1 week. What did I learn from it, and how did I grow from it? So as I did mention, my growth has been organic, and I stepped up from here to here at a very, very fast pace. For me, my goal, at that time, my mind wasn't as broadened as it is now. This was like 3.5, 4 years ago. But managing $1.82 million was a huge target, which I had in mind. But when I got that, I was like, oh my God, I've made it now. I've made it from here to here. I was really, really excited, really, really happy. And I felt that my achievements and all of my hard work and failures beforehand had came through, and I was gifted with this opportunity. So when I had that account and when I stepped myself up to that level, I never thought that I would go backwards. And this is a key point. I never thought that I would go backwards. I thought that that's it. It's only forwards from here. And yeah, I would never have to struggle or worry again. Before that, I wasn't worrying or struggling, but I was like, okay, cool. Each trade is now going to be 20K, 30K, 40K, rather than just a few thousand. So you start to do your plans and have your vision boards and your goals as to what you can now achieve with this new money. Before you've ever made it, you're going to try to spend it. All of these habits that come out of us as human beings. Now, what happened was, I had the account at 1 million, and I started to make some good funds. My trades were 50K, 100K, 150K, depending on the day and the market movement. But I was just looking at the figures on my phone, and the first few weeks or so of managing the money, I was happy, I was motivated, I definitely got up early, I was definitely on the charts non-stop, and I was keeping my mind clean. But after a few wins, I think I was up like 400, 500,000. After a few wins, my mind started to just slip away from me. And this can happen naturally to people when they step up the capital. Because I then got used to seeing so much on the screen that the next few trades, it wasn't good enough for me somehow. I was striving for more and more and more. And I think an element of greed definitely, snuck its way in there. But at the same time, my plans and my written goals and trade formula and structure actually went out of the window because I was deluded by the figures. I was up some days, I remember clear as day, 250k, 300k, but I wasn't taking the money off the table. I was just thinking, let me just leverage this and see how far I can go. If I see in one day 100k on a screen, or 100, you're more than likely, let me rephrase, you're more than likely to take 100k cash off the table, okay, bag that, go on to the next trade, than you are if you're seeing 100k on the screen. It's just because it becomes a game and your emotions are a lot different if you're seeing the cash in front of you rather than the figures on your MT4. So I became overconfident, deluded, and a little bit big-headed in a way, whereas I thought, I made it, this is me now, this is never going to fall from my hands, it's never going to go out of my grip, and I'm going to make 50k trades, 100k trades every day or every week. And boy was I wrong. So anyway, how did I lose it? After a few weeks of good trading, my mindset started to slip. I started to become complacent, greedy, whatever it may be. And then I remember it was non-farm payroll on the euro, and I had some short positions on that. And the short positions, I was holding them from a Wednesday, and the non-farm payroll came out on Friday. Friday morning, I woke up and my profit was $250,000. Did I take it? No. My rules would generally be get the hell out before news, but I was thinking, if this just pushes down an extra 50 or 100 pips, I'll be at 500k, 750k, great. What I was more or less doing was I was feeding my brain chemicals at the time. I wasn't really feeding my logic, number one, and feeding, okay, let me just get out the market and let me be happy for what the market's given me. If I'm up 750k in a week, then great. Take 100k out, go have some fun. But I was so stuck in that cycle, and the money blinded me so much from stepping up from a couple 100,000 to in the millions, that it actually detrimented my mentality and my psychology, which I more or less had on lockdown before and I really mastered. It wasn't the same in this different arena, in this higher arena. So anyway, non-farm payroll came out, euro consolidated for a while. Next 30 minutes it started to run up into the highs. I did have stops there. My stops would have taken me out of maybe like 100, 150k, which would have only dipped into, let's say, a fraction, 30, 40% of the week's profits. But I was so stubborn, I didn't want to let that go. So many different emotions were actually coming out, and again, from me speaking, hopefully you can actually put some of those into context as to how you can relate to them maybe yourself. So euro started to rally, it broke resistance, and I started to move stop losses. I had like 3 positions on, moving the stops higher, and I was sat there like 6 hours on a Friday watching this trade just slowly just creep up, and it went bad. It went so bad. It went about 150 pips against me. And my risk at the time, it wasn't the greatest on the actual trade in particular, but because I moved my stops and everything just went out the window, my loss was 1.6 to 1.8 million. And eventually I was watching it at maybe like 9 p.m. at night, and it just continued to go. Euro was just going ballistic at the time because of the dollar weakness, and I just couldn't close the trade. I couldn't bring myself to close the trade. I remember looking at it 700k, 800k down, and I could have saved half the account, or the majority of the account, 60, 70%. But I didn't want to do that. In my head, it was like, no, it's going to come down. I was looking at the technicals, and again, sometimes we do that. The technicals were not one element of technical analysis was saying it's going to come back down. Everything was bullish. Everything put a bottom in at the time. But my mind, because I was looking at the money, my judgments were going so far out the window, it was just splat mode. I got destroyed, absolutely destroyed. Anyway, I was left with around 100k in the account after the thing just got decimated. Euro continued to rise, and euro continued to rise the week afterwards as well. So it was There was nothing I could have done about that. So afterwards, how did I feel about the loss? So the loss happened. It kind of put me into a dream state because it's the biggest traumatic experience in the market that I've ever been through before personally. And I sat there and I was just, it was like I was in a different world. It was like I was in a dream. I couldn't really accept the fact for a while what exactly just happened. And I remember the whole night, it was very, very bad trying to absorb that. So the main points to express of the trauma were going from working up to this stage for many, many years and then ruining it over the case of not following my plan and being greedy. And you kind of hold these emotions inside of you, so your guilt, your fear comes out. You also have, you're so angry with yourself and you're so pissed off that you didn't actually follow your rules. And you look back at the profits even just that you made this week and you should have said to yourself, well, could have said to yourself, in the morning I was 250k up, why the fuck didn't I close that? So all of these things are running through your head as to how great it could have been just a few hours ago. Then it was like, what goes on from here? Can I ever come back from this? For me personally, it was like my goal had just been shattered, and you know, where do I go? Where do I go now? That night in particular, I was somewhere else in the country, and I had a 6-hour drive back home. So I was driving back home on my own, and all of these different thoughts and scenarios were playing through my head. And to be honest, over the week it was tragic. It was really, really horrible. You can't really speak to family, you can't really speak to friends as to what's happened. No one really understands it. But at the same time, it's only you who can actually pull yourself back out of a situation like that to see, okay, do I actually deserve to continue, or do I deserve to just fold over and then again go back in? What's going to happen next? Where am I going to go next? What's my plan B? Find a job, different business. I've been doing this for so long now, I need to continue, or there's going to be no point in the last few years and all of the struggles that I've already gone into and through. So at that time, I know that losses can cripple us in certain ways. In my head, I was thinking about what that entirety of that capital could have done. You start thinking about, I could have bought X amount of houses with this, cars, you know, I could have, whatever it may be. But I was crippled from the market for maybe 3 months after that. Looking at a chart, it just made me angry. I couldn't really go back in and start to place trades, even on the capital that was left, because I've just fell from here to here. I don't want to be doing 2k trades anymore, 1k trades, after doing 20k trades, 50k trades. So there's all of these differentials that your mind has to work towards and go through in order to see how strong you are and is it worth it for me to carry on. Now back then, my chart work and obviously confidence was nowhere near as to what it is now. And looking back in hindsight, I'm grateful for that experience, because it kind of, if you think of it like you have, everybody is, so let's say here, your depth is here. That experience took my depth from here to here, and it allowed me to have more understanding and more space within myself to see how exactly can I become more afterwards. But again, as I mentioned at the start of the video, in hindsight, this is so hard to get a grasp of, because we don't know what failure can actually do for us until we ride through it and be persistent enough to proceed and make something of it. So 3 months later, I jumped back onto the charts, and I can't remember exactly how much I was trading and all of that kind of nitty-gritty information, but gradually I got back up there. And over time, my charts and formulas in the market and understanding of psychology grew. And with that growth came everything here, consistently going forward. I think to get back to that level of capital, it took a good 1.5 to 2 years. Did I ever think that I would never get back there at first? Yes. But the pain inside, I just had to continue going and keep the hard work going. Keep pushing, keep the hard work going. Again, I've never had a mentor. I didn't really have anybody to talk to or rely on in this case. It was all about what can I do behind the scenes to improve myself and continue pushing forward. I haven't heard of a story that large before. from many people who I have personally come across. I think the largest one was 250k, and he was a German student, which we had in London last year. And I told him, I explained this scenario to him, and just a few key pointers that you have to actually take your emotions and take so your emotions and your psychology and your wanting to enter a trade must be pushed aside for a while. If you've had certain losses, if you are again coming to Astro and going through this material, if you've already had those losses, you can start to chase them and you're not focusing on these elements over here. So the stubbornness of continuously chasing losses and not put any effort into the good stuff, which is the chart time, the chart work, and understanding the A to B. Just don't be, move all of that out of the way. Focus on all of this, the information I've given you, for just a few months. Start to reprogram your mind with all of this, and then afterwards, then start to implement trades. Once you've focused on this and you've removed the obstacles and took that sector out of trying to chase money or chase up previous losses, then the time frame in which you will catch up, if you focus on this and start to reprogram your mind with this here and then implement the trades, I'm talking 3-4 months, 3 to 6 months. If you do it consistently, just a few hours a day, and follow some of my guidance and structures. So for many, again, I do get many sub stories through my social media, for instance, as number one. I've lost 20k today. I've lost family's money, I've lost savings, I've lost investment pools, I've lost, 50k, 100k, whatever it may be. I had one guy, he lost 40k, okay, and he would message me every time he was in a win because he was so excited, because again, brain chemicals, not trading, he was just gambling, he probably just made the money by accident. Then afterwards, I would get a message maybe a week later on how he blew the entire account. I was like, okay, I can't really help you out there. He was asking me for a loan. I don't really do that. I'm going to give him a loan to lose it again. But anyway, he found a loan from the bank. This guy was a European guy. And from there onward, again, he would start to message me when he was in, profit. I remember things vividly. It was like 15, 16K on his 40K account. Next week, sob stories again on how he now owes the bank X amount of money because of his gambling addiction and his habits, and he didn't give a fuck about the charts and actually learning correctly. It was just about, I want that buzz, I need that buzz and that feeling of being in the trade. So again, moral of the story and key points we can take away from this video is that please, number one, be careful when you are stepping up from, whether it be a couple hundred to a couple thousand, everybody's different, or a couple thousand to 10,000, or a couple 100,000 to a couple million. Keep logic in sight and have your goals. If you're seeing 50k trades, 100k trades, the information I've presented to you in the advanced arena over here on Astro, the next trade is always going to be around the corner. So don't try to rush everything on one trade, and don't get married to a particular direction, because things are always going to change, but there's so much that we can learn from even just these 3 pairs that I've been going through, that this is going to help you tremendously to actually strengthen your psychology and allow you to step up into new realms of capital. Next thing is, don't be too big for your boots and think that you've made it after just one step up, or you've raised into a different plateau. Always be mindful of everything can get swept under you like this, and when it does, that's when it really, really, really hurts, because then you have to go exponential on yourself to get there again. Be grateful obviously with what the market gives you, and be realistic with the profits that you see. So 250k in the morning of non-farm payroll, I knew news was out. I don't trade when news is actually being released. Or if I'm in profit beforehand, then get out the trade and then watch the news and see if there's opportunity later on. I didn't do that because I just wanted more and more and more and more. I was like the angry fucking greedy devil. $250,000 is 10 years salary for somebody in the UK, average. So keep that in mind. If you make that in 2 days, be grateful for what the market is giving you, then move on, have a break, get away from the charts. Another thing is that new opportunities and new doors will always open for you. It's just about proceeding and being persistent as hell and taking the failure on the chin. Don't be a victim. If you press the button and things didn't go to plan, you press the button. Don't be a victim, and don't start going out to other people and start detrimenting and being very, very nasty and mean to those just because they're doing it correctly, or they're, they haven't lost and you're in a loss and you don't like that and you want to get your anger out on somebody. Don't be that person. So take it on the chin, learn from it, be honest with people around you as to what the hell you've just done if other people are involved, and yeah, just don't give up on yourself. Just look at the past journey and look at where your passion lies as well. I think that's the main factor, because if you're not doing it for the passion and you're just trying to do it to make money, it's not going to go too well for you. You just got some kind of issue there, as you need money and you're doing it for the money rather than creating a skill-based formula and set and mentality on how to take over the globe. That's right. So that's that video there, guys. I hope you enjoyed those key points. Please don't do that. I can't chain you down and stop you, but that's one of the biggest obstacles that I've had to overcome. And overall, it took me 3 to 6 months to get back on the charts. I'm back motivated, and here I am with all of the results so far. So thanks for watching the video. Let's go on to the next.